27. Good timing. I only have a few minutes until a swarm of ethereal entities come a-calling, and we have a Mexican standoff. Don't be demons. Punctuality will be their downfall. I've prepared holy water sprinklers and a giant cross ready to ignite on my front lawn. Hope the press doesn't mislabel this event. It might look like a load of white-wearing KKK rushing and howling around at a rally once this goes down. Regardless, let's get this fire flowing, shall we? His name, Thornton Markson, a common thief unexpectedly turned bank robber, soon to be trapped in the realms between worlds and unable to make sense of the path his illicit affairs led him to. Location, Durham, North Carolina, USA. Date, May 1905. Thornton had mapped out an amazing heist of gold and silver bullion from the basement of the Durham County Savings and Loan. No fool he, Thornton disliked running into authorities, thus he thieved and made cunning plans to abscond property when others were away or had their backs turned. Guns were a hanging offense, and he disliked guns in his method. Doing time for a bit of naughty misappropriation wasn't too bad. Generally, he made out better than he lost. Hiding loot thorough and deep meant he could get out and rejoin his booty, to live high on the hog for a few years before having to go at another grab for exorbitant goods and going until gone. This time, however, in 1905, Thornton made a mistake. His idea came from an old Conan Doyle story about the Redhead League in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It was a simple idea. Dig under the bank and chisel out a wall to access their subterranean vault. A bit of dynamite and a bit of know-how, and on a sleepy Sunday morning he could become wealthy in an instant. Straightforward, simple, smart. It all went to plan. He spent a month patiently crafting a tunnel across the road from a warehouse he rented, and right up to the bank's thick stone wall, where he chipped for weeks until blocks loosened. Boffo! In he went circa 3 a.m. on Sunday morn, and confronted their thick-walled safe. A drill and a stick of dynamite, and in he went to bag bricks of precious metals. Yet the first mistake was that there was a guard upstairs, unbeknownst to Thornton. And when the man heard the clanking downstairs, he came down to find an explosion confront him directly, face to face. Not much was left of the guard's face. Shrapnel of the safe door tore the hapless sentry to pieces. It was now a hanging job. Thornton panicked and ran with his ill-gotten gains back through the tunnels and into the street, where he was confronted by a gaggle of irresponsible young revelers drinking and dancing in the middle of the Durham's main street. It caught the robber so thoroughly by surprise that he dropped his sack, out of which tumbled a couple of unusually well-polished bars of gold that shone in the lamplight. And then it was a chase. The drunken rabble might have been loose in their own morals, but weren't going to permit thievery of the town's gold reserves. The cops were alerted within minutes, and they were on to Thornton. A row ignited, a hullabaloo extreme, and much of the townsfolk in the city center were awakened to the danger in their midst. And now it was a mob after the malfeasant malefactor. This was a nightmare for Thornton. He wanted a peaceful pilfer, not a raucous retreat into the dark. The pursuit plodded onward in perpetuum, so it seemed. He weaved a path through the streets and alleys, over fire escapes and down drain pipes, until he could arrive at what he considered his safe house. It was a Victorian mansion on the edge of town, built by a beer baroness and now bereft of occupants after her expiration from Earth. No one wanted the gaudy and gigantic edifice. It was too expensive and too difficult to maintain for the pockets of the local population. So it sat, derelict for 3 years prior. A perfect pad for a recluse robber like Thornton Markson. There were endless rooms and hidey holes in which to stash contraband. Swiftly running into the darkened structure just before sunrise, Thornton was very unsure he actually shook the hundreds of pursuers. He locked through the door and scurried around the front room, checking the windows and pulling blinds. Finally, calming down a little, he merely peeked from one window to scan the streets and listen for the clamor of a citizen's posse. Nothing. "Oh, it's you," a voice clearly issued from behind Thornton. He turned in shock, gripping his wildly beating heart, almost ready to jump from his chest, to see a woman sitting in one of the lavishly upholstered Victorian chairs in the parlor. "How'd you find me?" Thornton howled in terror at the sight. He was compromised, sure to face the gallows by noon. "Him again?" asked the man coming down the stairs. Thornton was helpless. He merely pushed back up against the nearest wall and inched away. "When did anyone start living here?" Thornton asked. "We've been here a while now," the woman replied, unamused. "We wondered why you were sneaking around in our house from time to time," the man added. "You're welcome to stay," the woman said. "We rarely entertain anyone as interesting as you," the man enthusiastically chimed. A couple of teenagers followed the man down the stairs and into the main room. An elderly woman, perhaps a grandmother, appeared at the top of the stairs and stared down at Thornton as if he were a violent criminal. You aren't afraid I could hurt you?" Thornton asked. Most of the people around the robber laughed a little at this question. No, the woman told him. "Just relax and do what you have to do." "Oh, my God!" the elderly lady lightly exclaimed from high. "This isn't happening." Thornton pulled back, afraid they might begin panicking. A bribe came forth readily as he extracted gold bar from his sack and held it out to them. "If you keep quiet, I'll give you this gold," Thornton bargained. "Just let me hide here for a few days and give me some food and water, and I'll be gone, and no one will ever know, and we can all be happy. I didn't mean to harm anyone. Seriously, I didn't. It was a mistake." Almost everyone in the room giggled and guffawed at the distrait desperado. "Amazing," the man said. "Tell us about yourself," the woman pried. Thornton settled into a chaise lounge and huddled up with his bag of valuables. It was then that his mind quieted enough to observe the people about him as they clustered in a semicircle around his form. These folks were weird. They all wore nice clothes, but rather unusual cuts and colors. They weren't from around these parts, Thornton realized. After a few seconds of examining the suits and pants and shirts on the group, he spoke. "What's up with you people?" Thornton queried. "You foreigners or something? Or going to a fancy dress party on a Sunday morning?" Again the people chuckled merrily. "We should ask the same of you," the man merrily told. "Hush, Frank," the woman chided her man. "Don't confuse him. It's 1976, dude," one teen spoke. "Get with the times." Thornton jerked back at the revelation. "A cuckoo house," Thornton expelled. You people are escaped lunatics." "Look outside," the woman commanded, and Thornton did so from behind a window blind. The street was now lit from the sun. The cars were all rather bizarre and designed in streamlines with fabulous colors. The tires were thick and low, unlike the cars he knew. You died in 1905, a teen told the robber, but that's okay. What? Thornton cried out, then subdued by memories flooding back to him. Markson remembered. The mob did in fact find him in that house earlier. They strung him high before the police could stop the process. He recalled strangling, legs swinging wildly, as he was executed outside on a young oak. Now a large old tree spanning wider than he remembered. Dead? Thornton looked disappointed, then faded away. Till later, dude. A teenager warmly waved goodbye. The man, dressed in a white leisure suit, sat down on the arm of his woman's chair. She was adorned by a colorful sundress with a light blue high-waist jacket on her shoulders. The teens were wearing tie-dyed Canadian tuxedos and cartoon T-shirts of various bright colors. Think he'll show up again? One kid asked. I hope so, the woman answered. He's so fascinating. A ghost! The old woman cried out, having seen the event for the first time. I can't! I'm going down to Pastor Menenheim! I need Jesus! The family laughed as their progenitor rushed from the house and fled down the sidewalk. Oh, God! Someone else loudly proclaimed into the room. From a side door leading to the kitchen was a middle-aged fellow with a portly appearance and wearing children's clothes, short black denim pants, sneakers, and a sloppy T-shirt with a Harley-Davidson logo on it. His hair was awfully trimmed, his beard a mess of gross tangles and streaked lightly gray. He had a few poorly drawn tattoos and a nose ring. Ew! Shrieked the woman at the sight of the ogre troll man before them. Who are you? The owner of this house, the newcomer retorted. Isn't it time you rest in peace? What? Replied the man in the leisure suit. It's 2021, came the response. You all died in a gas leak here in 1976. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies how you always show up at the same time every year. The family watched, jaws slack, their faces agog at the unkempt pile of human garbage shuffling about before them, until they faded away to a netherworld beyond our mortal reach.
Like and subscribe before I die. And ring the little bell or you will surely go to hell.
Oh, we're telling spooky stories. This is not a spooky story. Oh, there's no way on the couch I can say.
Depends how you look at it. It is kind of spooky.
I guess so.
Wait, that's it? That's the end of the story?
That is a